Hey you guys, it's your girl Danielle. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are kicking things back with another episode of the Since We're Being Real series. I know so many of you guys have been waiting for this to come out, so here we are, okay? Today I really want to talk about some things that we don't talk enough that we experience in our 20s, and that is going to be losing friends in your 20s. We're also going to talk about healing from relationships in your 20s. And then lastly, we will be talking about how to figure out where you're supposed to be in this messy world while everything is changing. Okay. So if you're in your 20s and you're losing your friends, your dating life is crazy, and you just don't know who you are right now, this episode is for you. When I think about losing friends in the 20s, I think it's a really weird thing because when you lose a friend, sometimes it hurts a lot more than a breakup. And I say that because when you're in a relationship romantically and you guys break up, it's almost expected, right? But when you have this friend that you talk to all the time, especially one that you think was going to last forever, it just hurts a little bit different. And sometimes there's no big argument, there's no big dramatic moment. Sometimes it literally is just distance, right? And one day you wake up and you realize, dang, we're not as close as we used to be anymore. And it's so weird because your 20s are where you're in this weird season because you're not the same person you were when you met a lot of people in your life, right? You're growing, you're learning about yourself, your priorities are changing, your boundaries are growing. So you're really turning into somebody that you're not even aware of. And sometimes you don't even miss the person. Like you don't miss the friend at all. Sometimes you just miss the version of you that was able to be with that person, right? And your 20s are a very, very interesting place to be in because relationships, romantic relationships, also teach you a lot in your 20s too. I've had romantic relationships where I thought this person was the love of my life and we were gonna get married and they just had to be my person. And when it ended, it hurt. Okay. Like just like anybody else, breakups hurt. And when you start to feel that pain of a breakup, you have to unlearn routines, okay? Because you get so used to being with that person and doing things at a certain time with that person, you have to now restructure yourself and you have to unlearn those routines. You also have to detach emotionally from somebody that you were once emotionally connected to. And that does take time. It is very, very hard. I struggle with that a lot. But you guys, I'm telling you, breakups teach you a lot about yourself also. It shows you what you need in a partner. It shows you what you desire in a partner. It shows you what you will and will not tolerate, your non-negotiables, your yes and no's. And it tells you ultimately what type of man you're looking for in the future, right? And sometimes it also reveals parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. And it's very scary because when I look back at past relationships, I had realized that I was loving people the best way I knew how to back then, right? 26-year-old me now and 20-year-old me are completely different. The love that I had at 20 years old, completely different than the love I have now being 26. Okay. And the version of me that was 20, that was giving out all the love that I knew that I could, I was still learning, I was still growing, I was still trying to figure out who I was as a person, right? And that's the biggest part about being in your 20s is learning through your experiences, learning through your mistakes, learning through other people, and just continuously just thriving for growth. And just as I have had romantic relationships, I have also had friendships, just like anybody else. And those friendships actually revealed that some of the things that I was accepting from old relationships were actually feeding and funneling to my friendship. And it could be little small things like little expectations or little comments or moment if I didn't do something a certain way, it became a problem. Or if I didn't do something that they wanted me to do because I thought it was wrong and it didn't fit me, I would be considered selfish, right? And instead of questioning it because they were my friend and I loved them and I didn't want them to go, I adjusted and I shrunk myself to make them happy. So in previous episodes of the Since We're Being Real series, we talked about people pleasing. And I told you guys I was a people pleaser, like really, really bad. I want everybody to like me. I want to make everybody happy. I don't want anybody unhappy around me. And ultimately, I was miserable because even though I was trying to people please, I guess I wasn't good at it because people were still angry. But now things are a lot different, right? And I think it's just because I cared about those friendships and I thought that if I tried harder, everything would kind of, in some weird way, balance out. But the more I just adjusted, the more uncomfortable with myself I became. And who wants to be uncomfortable in your own skin? Like, who wants to get around a group of friends and you have to watch what you say, you have to watch what you wear, you have to watch what you do. You have to shrink yourself and kind of stand backish so nobody gets mad at you. Listen, okay, we're not doing that. Especially me at 26, I'm too grown for that. We're not doing that. So it was just something that I did not need to be around. And when I stepped back and I looked at the situation clearly, I realized that I wasn't being loved for who I was. I was being loved by how much I could shrink myself to fit them. And when I had realized that, it was very, very hard for me to admit. I was in denial. I said, no, I'm a great friend. I just have to do better doing this and that and all the things. And the whole time, I didn't have to do anything, right? We were just growing differently. We weren't aligned anymore. So the things that I once wanted to do, once I grew past it or I healed from something, I didn't want to do it anymore, right? So you start to feel the energy shift. You notice when things just aren't peaceful anymore whenever they're around. And you really start feeling mentally drained because if instead of you having this friend, you guys are hanging out and you're excited to be with them, now you have this friend where every time you come, you're expecting an argument, you're expecting something bad to happen. That is mentally draining and taxing. And a lot of you guys do not understand. When you have a relationship like that, and you're automatically tired and you can't go out, it is not because your body is just physically tired. No, you are mentally exhausted and you're letting those friends drain you. All right. So we need to stop doing that. And when you have that feeling, especially my women, use your women intuition. All right. If you are not a woman and you are a man, please understand this is your discernment, right? When you are feeling that you don't need to be around a certain person anymore, use your discernment. It never steers you wrong because sometimes we ignore it and we try to push through and we start praying about situations. And we've all been there where we're like, hey, God, if you just make sure that this person sticks with me, I promise I won't do this and this again. God don't want to hear that. Okay. And what y'all don't understand is when you start asking God to remove people from your life that aren't supposed to be there and you start asking for these signs, He's going to give it to you, right? But if you're constantly ignoring the signs and constantly repaying or you're constantly repraying for Him to give you another sign to again clarify what He already clarified for you 1,000 times before, God is going to cross His fingers and say, no, I want to see what you're going to do. And God has done that to me way more than once. And what y'all don't understand is eventually God's going to get tired and He's going to take matters into His own hands. And when God removes somebody from your life, it hurts way worse than if you would have just did it yourself. God will let you know, hey, I took you away from them. You went back. Now I'm going to make it hurt so you can't go back. And removal hurts. It's just a part of who we are as people. We always want somebody to be around us. We want our friends. We want our group of people. But sometimes when you start to realize that when God takes people away or people leave and you start feeling hurt, you need to understand that it's really ultimately for your protection, right? And sometimes the pain we feel isn't just because we lost somebody, because we stayed longer than we were supposed to. And we knew we weren't supposed to stay. And we did it anyway because we were hard-headed and we just wanted that person to just love us so much. And what you guys have to understand is the realization humbled me a lot when I had to realize that I was holding on to people that was constantly hurting me, and I was trying to I was trying to keep the peace. And of course I had to be honest with myself throughout all of my friendships and romantic relationships, right? I'm not perfect. I will never say that I was perfect in any relationship that I was in. Because one of the biggest things that I realized that was a flaw for me was that when I'm overwhelmed, I get quiet. Like I isolate myself. And when I'm trying to process my emotions, especially after a disagreement or an argument, I go silent, right? So in the past, what would happen was somebody would come to me and say they don't like something, or I made them upset, or they wish I didn't do a certain thing. And instead of me being able to articulate myself and express my emotions, I would just get quiet and do this weird blank stare because now I'm thinking a lot of thoughts in my mind, but my mouth just wouldn't move, right? So that got me into a lot of trouble also, just being silent. So what I ended up doing after being just silent was I started to distance myself. So I was thinking, man, like if I'm just not around, they can't get mad. But I realized that that hurts people too because I'm not telling them how I feel, or I'm not telling them that I understand their feelings. And it's not fair to them to just isolate, retreat, and be silent. But in your 20s, you guys are just figuring it all out. It's the big, beautiful, messy middle. And you're trying to figure out who you are without school labels and expectations. You are just being your authentic self. And sometimes you just slowly stop talking, or you realize you're the only one reaching out to these people. And one day you wake up and you just realize you're not close anymore, and it hurts. And it doesn't hurt because they're gone. It hurts because it makes you question yourself and ask yourself, did I change too much? Was I able to make them happy enough? Was I too sensitive? Did I expect too much from them? Right? You start having all these thoughts about yourself, and then those thoughts turn into negative thoughts, and now you think that you're the problem. But you guys have to understand that wanting healthy relationships is not asking for too much, right? It's not being selfish to want peace in your relationship, in your life, in your friendships, in anything. Peace is the ultimate goal. Nobody wants to be stressed out all the time. And I get the question a lot where people ask me, if you can go back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself, right? And so before, when I was younger, my answer would be, oh, don't date this guy, and don't talk to this girl, and don't do this, and you should do more of this. But now, me being 26 years old, I think if I can go back and talk to 20-year-old Danielle, I would let her know that it is okay for her to be alone than surrounded by a bunch of people and shrinking herself and not being her true authentic self. I will let her know that she should seek genuine friendships that care rather than a lot of forced ones. And I would just let her know that her growth and the person that she's going to grow up to be is worth the loneliness. If you're losing friends, if you're healing from relationships, if you're trying to figure out your 20s, you guys are not crazy. All right. I still drive myself crazy thinking about my 20s, and I'm only 26. I'll be 27 in September. And I don't have everything figured out. I tell you guys that all the time. But I want you guys to know you're not crazy. You're not dramatic. We are all just growing, and we're doing it together. Sometimes we are doing it alone, and it's hard. And that's why I have this platform, so we can all get together and talk about our messy 20s, right? Because most of the time people say your 20s are your prime, but it's also the time where you are learning and you are growing yourself, and you are laying the foundation for your 30 and 40 and 50 and 60-year old plus self, right? So I just want you guys to know that people meant for you and what you're becoming will stay, right? And if they just decide that they don't want to be with you, and they decide it's not a good fit, it will hurt. But I just need you guys to know it does not mean there's anything wrong with you. It does not mean you failed. And since this is the Since We're Being Real series, you guys, I need you to know that growth is uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable, but you have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. All right. You're going to have to go through some things where people are going to teach you a lesson, and they're going to be here for a season. And it's up to you to learn how to respond. It's up to you to control your emotions and figure out what you will do. Okay. So everything is necessary, right? The growth is necessary. Losing people is necessary. But when you lose somebody, you'll gain somebody else. It's a big world out here, you guys. Live your 20s, all right? I'm starting to travel more. Luckily, my job lets me travel a lot for work. But even outside of work, I want to go places for fun, right? I want to go to Bora Bora and Portugal, and I want to go to Jamaica, of course, and all the things. And of course, it is planned. So I know a lot of you guys have also been asking for vlogs. So those are probably going to come soon when I re-up on my traveling. But for right now, you guys, the main juice of the topic that I wanted you guys to understand is you guys are not alone. Even if you are losing people and you feel like you have nobody, I am here. Definitely put down in the comments if you feel like you need a community. That is what this is for, okay? Lose those friends. If they're not good for you, kick them to the curb. If you have to just block, delete, and never even respond again, do that as well. Sometimes people don't even deserve a response. Sometimes friendships don't end with closure, right? Even relationships, sometimes they don't end with closure either. But you guys have to understand you have to grow past it. You will grow past it, and your future self will thank you for it. And with all of that being said, you guys, as always, if this resonated with you, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on your post notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And as always, I will see you all beautiful, beautiful people next week.